When the atomic bomb fell on Hiroshima in August 1945, the war did not simply end for Japan. It ruptured. The explosion marked the collapse of Japan's ability to continue fighting, but it did not bring immediate peace. A city vanished in seconds. Authority remained on paper, but meaning drained away. What followed was not clarity, but shock, physical, social, and psychological. For millions of civilians, surrender did not mean safety. It marked the beginning of a struggle shaped by radiation, hunger, displacement, and a form of uncertainty Japan had never known before. Japan in 1945 was already a nation at the limit of endurance. Years of total war had exhausted its economy, its infrastructure, and its population. American conventional bombing had devastated cities across the country. Tokyo alone had suffered firebombing that killed more civilians than either atomic attack. Entire districts were reduced to ash. By the summer of 1945, food shortages were severe. Transportation networks were failing, fuel was scarce. Industrial production had collapsed. Many families survived on minimal rations, supplemented by barter and black market trade. Into this environment came the atomic bomb. On August 6th, Hiroshima was destroyed in a single flash. 3 days later, Nagasaki followed. Tens of thousands were killed instantly. Many more were burned, crushed, or blinded. Hospitals were destroyed. Doctors and nurses were killed alongside their patients. Japan announced its surrender days later. For the survivors, the consequences were only beginning. In the immediate aftermath, there was no effective framework for response. Local administrations were overwhelmed or incapacitated. Communication systems failed. Military units dissolved into silence. Survivors moved through ruins in search of water, shelter, and missing family members. In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the destruction defied existing categories of disaster. Buildings had not merely collapsed, they had been erased. Streets disappeared. Familiar landmarks were gone. Fires burned unchecked across flattened ground. Those who survived the initial blast often suffered from severe burns and internal injuries. In the days and weeks that followed, a new pattern emerged. People who had appeared unharmed began to fall ill. Hair fell out, fevers rose, bleeding began. Many died without visible wounds. Food shortages intensified. Agricultural output had been disrupted by bombing, labor shortages, and neglect. Distribution systems were broken. Rationing continued, but supplies were insufficient. Cigarettes, rice, and cloth became currency. Families sold possessions for food. The summer heat, combined with decaying bodies and contaminated water, accelerated the spread of disease. Dysentery and malnutrition became widespread. Survival became intensely personal. Families searched for relatives among the injured and the dead, often without records, identification, or functioning authorities. Children were orphaned overnight. Entire family lines ended in a single moment. Those exposed to radiation became known as hibakusha. Many suffered chronic illness, fatigue, and pain. Their condition was poorly understood. Fear and misinformation followed them. Employers hesitated to hire them. Families feared marriage to them. Their suffering extended far beyond the physical. Medical workers faced impossible conditions. With hospitals destroyed and supplies scarce, treatment was improvised. Schools, temples, and open fields became care centers. Many doctors and nurses died while treating others. Psychological trauma was widespread. Survivors described an unnatural silence after the blast, followed by screams. Memory fractured. Some withdrew emotionally. Others struggled with guilt for surviving, for losing family, or for actions taken during the war. The future felt undefined. the past felt unreachable. Japan's surrender placed the country under Allied occupation, led primarily by the United States. Unlike Germany, Japan remained territorially unified, but sovereignty was suspended. Military institutions were dismantled. War industries were shut down. The emperor remained, but his political role was fundamentally altered. Occupation authorities introduced sweeping reforms. The military was abolished. A new constitution was drafted. Political prisoners were released. Land reform redistributed property. Women gained the right to vote. At the same time, Japan faced immediate survival challenges. Millions of demobilized soldiers returned home to cities unable to absorb them. Overseas Japanese populations were repatriated. Housing shortages worsened. Food imports became essential to prevent famine. Atomic damage created long-term challenges specific to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Radiation contamination complicated reconstruction. Health effects persisted for decades. Scientific understanding lagged behind lived experience. Recovery progressed unevenly. Urban centers rebuilt faster than rural areas. Memory of the bombings remained geographically concentrated but nationally significant. The atomic bombings represented a rupture in human history. They introduced a weapon capable of destroying a city in an instant and altering the bodies of survivors for generations. The physical destruction was immediate. Its meaning unfolded slowly. For the Japanese state, the bombings forced surrender. For civilians, they produced lasting injury, stigma, and silence. During the early occupation years, public discussion of radiation effects was limited. Survivors were often discouraged from speaking openly. Official narratives emphasized stability and recovery over trauma. At the same time, Japan confronted defeat. Empire ended. Territory was lost. Millions returned from abroad to a country struggling to feed itself. The social order shifted permanently. In the years following 1945, Japan rebuilt under occupation and later independence. Economic recovery accelerated in the 1950s. Cities rose again. Industry returned. Living standards improved. The legacy of the bombings, however, did not fade. Health effects continued to appear decades later. Survivors organized to seek recognition and medical support. Memory became contested between victimhood, responsibility, and the broader history of the war. Japan's post-war identity was shaped by the renunciation of militarism, reliance on alliance, and a lasting awareness of nuclear destruction. Hiroshima and Nagasaki became both national traumas and global symbols. Japan did not emerge from the atomic bombings through resilience alone. It endured shock, illness, hunger, occupation, and silence before recovery took shape. The speed of later economic growth often obscures the depth of suffering that came first. For those who lived through Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the war did not end with surrender. It remained in bodies, in memory, and in the shadow cast over the modern world.